What are people typing into the search bar when they go to Google that might lead to your farm business? And is your business showing up as one of the top listings on the search engine results page? If not, you might have an SEO problem. In today's podcast, I have a guest who's an expert at SEO for small business, and she's going to break it all down for us and show us what we need to be doing to get to the top of the search engine results page. And even better, she speaks farmer language. Let's get started. Hey there, this is Corinna Bench, and welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast. In today's market, it's not enough to just grow your product. You've got to know how to sell it too. Welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast, where we reveal online marketing strategies and tips to help farmers like you get better and more confident at marketing. Learn how to find more customers, increase your sales, and build a strong brand for your farm. Let's start the show. Well, welcome to episode 231 of the My Digital Farmer podcast. I am your host, Corinna Bench, one of the farmers at Shared Legacy Farms out in Elmore, Ohio. And I'm also the founder of MyDigitalFarmer.com, which is all about trying to help other farmers like you get more confident in your marketing and sales strategy so that you can grow a profitable business. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to the show. Big shout out to all of my regular binge listeners. So glad you're here. And if this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. I'm really glad you're here. Did you just hear that? My phone just dinged. Turn off your phone, Corinna. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and go check out my first 10 episodes. I designed those to be kind of like an onboarding into the farm marketing space. So if you're really new and green when it comes to marketing, that's a great place to go to get some of the basics. Another great place to go is to just get onto my email list, because when you do, I'm going to send you a weekly email every single week for like 3 months. I'm going to drip out like my curated selection of the most important things you need to know when you're first getting started so that you can kind of learn the ropes of marketing. It's really good. I get a lot of good feedback from farms about it. And you can subscribe to that by going to mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe. Today's podcast is sponsored by my friends at Local-Line. And today I'm really excited to announce big news. It's official. Local-Line has now launched their new and highly anticipated subscriptions feature. Now, creating subscriptions for your farm customers has never been easier. Subscriptions allows you to turn one-time orders into recurring revenue. You can use Local-Line's subscription feature to run your CSA, increase your cash flow, and increase customer loyalty. Local-Line's subscriptions feature is very flexible. You can add, edit, and cancel subscriptions at any time in your back office and allow customers to manage their settings and add one-off purchases to their orders. You can also offer different subscriptions for different customers, like a standing order for chefs and a CSA box for your CSA members. Local-Line's subscriptions feature also supports variable weight products like meat and seafood, so you can offer subscription products to all of your customers no matter what you sell. In addition to all of that, Local-Line subscriptions is very affordable. You can add it to your Local-Line account for only $25 a month extra. Now, for podcast listeners of the My Digital Farmer podcast, Local-Line is offering a free premium feature for a whole year when you sign up using my coupon code. This includes the subscriptions feature, so you could basically get subscriptions for free for the whole year. So why not try it out today? Head to mydigitalfarmer.com/local-line and use my special coupon code MDF2023 to get that free feature of choice for one whole year. For more information, check out the link in the show notes. And now back to the show. Well, let's jump right into it. Today, I have a special guest on the show. Her name is Julia Bocchese, and she is an SEO expert. She works with farmers and ag specialists and as ag businesses. She reached out to me a couple of months ago to let me know about her services and that she wanted to be on the show and thought she had something valuable to share with all of you guys. It was one of the best email pitches I've ever read. I get pitched all the time by different companies to come onto the show and be guests. And most of the time I can tell they have no idea who I am. They're just cold pitching me. But this was different. I could tell that she'd been following me and she had some very specific suggestions for the kinds of things that we could talk about that would be really valuable to a farmer. And so I followed up with her and we scheduled this interview. You're going to hear the recording of it in just a second. You guys, it was so good. I really connected with her. I felt like she knew her stuff and she made it palatable. You know, SEO is one of those things that kind of makes our eyes roll back in our heads as farmers because it can be very techy. I feel like I'm pretty good at the Google business profile part and getting that kind of stuff done, but all the other knickknacks about making your website and keywords and meta tags and all that stuff, that kind of makes me a little bit nervous. And I don't feel like I'm super good at that. So when I listened to her explain it, it just felt very clear. And I felt so confident that she knew what she was doing. And you guys, I have to tell you that after the podcast, I stayed on the line with her and I said, will you update my website? So I hired her and she's now going to do SEO for my farm business website. I'm super excited. So maybe you'll be convinced as well. Even if you aren't, I think you're going to get some great tips from this episode. And stick around to the very end because I have sort of some special bonus questions that happened after we actually signed off from the podcast. I kept asking her more things and I decided to include some of them as like a little bonus clip. So once the music dies down at the end of the show, if you stick around a little bit longer, you'll hear some other questions that I think may be relevant for some of you. All right, let's dive right in. I'm going to share her bio with you. My guest today is Julia Bocchese. Julia is an SEO consultant for agriculture and horticulture businesses at Homegrown Reach, and she is the first SEO professor at Drexel University. So cool. Her goal is to make SEO strategies approachable and easy to implement for all small businesses so they can reach their customers organically and help their business bloom. She lives in Philadelphia with her Siberian Husky sidekick, her husband, and her baby. And on the side, she's working on revitalizing their previously neglected garden, runs a travel photography site, and experiments with spicy recipes in the kitchen. You are going to learn so much from Julia. I loved this episode. I can't wait for you to meet her. Let's jump into the show. Well, Julia, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
I'm super excited to talk about SEO. I know people don't usually say that very often, so you're going to break it all down for us. First, though, start out by just telling my audience a little bit about your background and how you got into being an SEO consultant.
Yeah, so I actually don't have any sort of professional background in SEO. I started a website, I think like 8 years ago now. It was a travel photography website, and I kind of just learned, SEO and marketing for that. It was just, a fun side hobby. And I was super bored in my corporate career, which was completely unrelated to SEO. And then when I wanted to quit that and become a freelancer, I was writing a lot of content for small businesses and, helping them rank higher on Google with that content, and then realized they had no idea how I was doing that. So that's when I kind of transitioned into focusing more on, SEO and, doing a lot of trainings for businesses and things like that. And then so I've been doing that for about 6 years, but my business Homegrown Reach is actually only a few months old because I've been doing SEO for like more creative small businesses and photographers. But I started getting a lot of inquiries from more agricultural businesses and landscapers and things like that in the past few months. And that's kind of, what I'm more passionate about because I personally love going to, visit farms in the local area and attempting to garden in our yard. But I was having a lot of trouble finding these businesses online because we moved a couple of times in the Philadelphia area. But basically, when you move 1 mile over, it's a whole different city. So like even trying to find a new composting company and things like that, I was having a lot of trouble finding them online. So I saw there was a big need for helping these businesses, optimize their websites and rank higher for, people like me who are searching for what they have to offer, but are having a lot of trouble actually finding them.
Well, let's just assume we have some farmers listening who are real beginners when it comes to SEO, who just like check out because they don't even know. It just sounds confusing to them.
Yeah.
Can you tell people what does SEO even stand for? And then make a case for why it's important for small business owners who are farmers or florists or whatever to invest in it.
Yeah, so SEO stands for search engine optimization. That includes like, Bing and Ask Jeeves, if that's still around, and things like that. But people really primarily focus on Google, especially in the US. And it's really helpful for reaching those people who are searching specifically for your services, because a lot of times you may have, hundreds or thousands of followers on Instagram, but they might just follow you because they like your, pretty photos that you have, or because they're curious about the behind the scenes of having a farm and things like that. But when people go to Google, they are searching specifically for what you have to offer. So if you're able to rank highly for those search terms, then you're able to reach people who are interested in what you have and, have a higher chance of turning them into a customer.
Right. So how do you go about trying to figure out if you were going to work with a farmer, how do you go about trying to figure out what people are even typing into the Google search bar to help you guide them?
Yeah, so there are lots of different keyword research tools that you can use to find these terms. A lot of them are free, or you can use like the Google Keyword Planner, which is like their tool for ads, but it's free. You can do that without having to run an ad. I personally love the tool Key Search. I believe it's like $17 a month if you really want to get into SEO. But you can definitely just get started with, some of the free SEO tools that are out there, or even just starting to search in Google itself, because it will auto-populate with what other people have searched before. So if you start typing in, farm in, I'll just use Philadelphia as an example, you can start to see other searches that people have, look for. So maybe organic farm in Philadelphia was a search term, or like, flower farm, or farm stand in Philadelphia, things like that. That can help kind of narrow down, the types of keywords that you should be targeting. Also, when you scroll to kind of the bottom of the Google search page, you'll see more kind of like related searches.
And the whole idea then is to try and figure out what is it that people are actually thinking in their heads when they're going to search for you, so that you can put that exact phrase somehow into your SEO juice.
Yeah.
And they will more likely then see your farm rising to the top. How important is it that you're at the top of the search engine result page? Or, I mean, is it okay to be number 2, number 3, number 4?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're on like the first page of Google, it also depends on like how competitive your area is. So like I'm in Philadelphia. There are tons of farms, on the outskirts, also like within city limits. We're also super close to New Jersey, so there are, farms in that area as well. So there's a lot of competition in this area. So that's where you definitely want to be, kind of on the first page of Google, if not within the first few results. But one thing that you can also do to kind of stand out from the competition, even if you're not the first result on the page, is make sure that your title tags and meta descriptions are optimized, and include, important information about your website, or, whatever the page that it's optimized for. So that way, when people are scanning the first, few results on Google, if they see yours and yours matches exactly what they're searching for, or maybe has something that stands out to them more than, what the competition has, that can also be a good way to kind of get more traffic on your website.
Okay, so can you tell me, what does that mean, title tags and meta description? Because some people don't know what that means.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna throw a lot of like techie jargon out there. So yeah, so when you are searching on Google for anything, you'll see, the different websites that are listed. Each one has like a title that's, blue. That's what you click on to go to that website. And then right below it is usually like a short paragraph of text. The title tag is the ranking factor for Google. The meta description actually isn't a ranking factor, but it is important to optimize because, if you're trying to target flower farm, if you use that in your meta description and someone has searched that term, it'll be bold. So it'll help it stand out more. And then also when you optimize your meta description, you're able to give more specific information about whatever is listed on that page. If you don't put anything in the meta description, or if you have something that's like, way too long and Google cuts it off, Google can replace that meta description, and they do this pretty frequently. I see a lot of times they'll replace it with things that don't make any sense, or they'll pull the names of the photos that are on that page instead of putting, valuable information there. So if someone sees your meta description that you haven't filled in and Google kind of just pulled random information from your website and it doesn't make any sense to them, or, even looks spammy, that might reduce the number of, clicks you're going to get on that page from Google. So both are very important for, optimizing. And also when you are naming the title tags for each of your pages, because every single website page has a title tag and meta description, make sure you're not just putting about or home. You have 60 characters, including spaces. So you can definitely, make sure you have the name of your farm or your website for your homepage, but you can also typically add in some more keywords that are related to that page as well.
Good tip. Okay, so SEO, I think, is a little bit daunting. I said that earlier to a typical farmer because it really is like a whole other language. And you've just dropped all kinds of things like keywords and title tags and, all these little phrases. I know I'm familiar with some of those. I know that it's important that I weave those keywords into my website copy and in other key areas like the headings and so forth. But when a person says, I need to invest in my SEO for my farm business, what kinds of things are we talking about? You just mentioned, title tags, meta descriptions and all that. But maybe you can share a continuum of the kinds of things that this would even entail if you're going to fix your SEO, from most accessible, easy lift kinds of things to the more complicated and involved stuff. Can you try to answer that question? That was a long question.
Yeah, that's fine. So every website is different. So, and also SEO agencies, they offer different, services or focus on different things, or also some people will focus on foundational SEO, but kind of do it in stages over months rather than all at once. So depending on who you talk to, you're going to get pretty different answers. I focus on doing the foundational SEO first before going into the ongoing content stages. So typically with foundational SEO, I focus on things like the keyword research, making sure that's incorporated in the website copy, title tags, meta descriptions, fixing any technical issues with site speed, or if you've had a website for a while and you have a lot of broken links, making sure all the links have redirects so that doesn't affect your SEO. Broken links, they're like the 404 errors. So that if there's a page that was deleted and Google may still be trying to put that on its page, or maybe if you had linked to that page previously on Facebook or something like that, people can still access that page until you redirect it to another live page. So checking for technical things like that. And then also making sure that you have enough website pages and enough website copy is important, because I find a lot of times people just have one page and, try to stuff all of the information on one page, where it's really helpful to have, separate pages for the different services that you have, or events if you're in, agritourism or something like that. And you don't need to create a page for every single thing that you do, because if you have 100 different products or something like that, you don't need to have 100 different website pages, but kind of trying to separate out the different services and things like that, so that it's helpful when someone is scanning your menu bar to be able to find what they're looking for, instead of having to search on one page for a specific product that they're interested in. And it's also helpful for ranking on Google if you have separate pages, because Google does have site readers. They have bots that, do most of the work, but they do have actual humans who will go and check for things like having an about page and a contact page, because they want to verify that there's a human behind this business. And, it's not just like some, bot generated website that, is like going to spam people or, scam people out of their money, something like that. So it's important to have, separate website pages, make sure there's enough information on all the pages. I also focus a lot on like user experience and image alt text and, accessibility and things like that to make it easy for anyone to be able to access all the information on your website. So once all of that is done, that timeline can vary depending on how large a website is, how many technical issues there are, and things like that. And then from there, I never, make someone continue with like a contract with me, but if they're interested, I do a lot of like content management going forward. So like managing people's Google business profiles, or as they have updates on their website as season changes, making sure all the new information is on the website, making sure everything's optimized, doing a lot of data reporting with Google Analytics, Google Search Console, and Google Business Profile. So there are a lot of like different ongoing things that you can do. Some SEO agencies focus a lot on like what's called off-page SEO. So like backlinks, social media can also kind of fall into that sometimes. I focus primarily on-page SEO, but that is something that you might hear if you talk to other SEO agencies.
Okay. One question came up while you were chatting about this, because I can already anticipate like a farmer's listening to this and they're intrigued. They're like, okay, this sounds, like something maybe I should think about. What if you're a farmer that has a website that's a hot mess, or maybe it doesn't even have to be a hot mess, but you kind of look at your website and it's not the ideal final version of the website that you're hoping for. Like, is it important for a farmer to first get their website messaging and architecture more optimized before they try to SEO it? Like if they know that they're going to go give it a makeover in the next year, like should they just wait a second and get that done first and then come to you? Or is it something where you work together and say, let me design the website knowing what I need to know about SEO?
Yeah, so it kind of depends. If a website needs like a complete design overhaul, then I will refer them to a website designer, and I do partner with website designers. So while they're working on the website, I will also implement, the SEO strategies alongside. So that way, when the new website is ready to launch, it's, got the new design, it's got the, everything's SEO optimized and ready to go, so that we don't have to like backtrack and redo something later down the road. I also, do a lot of like the copywriting and copy optimization work as well. If a farmer is like thinking in the next year they're going to get a website overhaul. I actually had a client recently who had this, where they know they're going to get a new website, they're going to work on it in the winter with a website designer, but they just have some events coming up and they wanted to make sure those specific pages were optimized for these events. Then I'd recommend focusing on like optimizing the most important things, so that way you're not like missing out on any business. Because if you have information that you haven't updated in the last year and the dates aren't right, or you've change the times that your farm is open for different seasons, or something isn't like accurate, you definitely want to make sure that is updated, so that way when people come to your website they have the most accurate and up-to-date information. And some of that overlaps with SEO, like with the keywords, making sure those are incorporated within your website copy, because that not only helps your website or a specific website page rank on Google, but also tells people the most important information on that page. So, if you're a flower farm, but you don't mention flowers anywhere on a page, you just, give the basic information on where you're located and what your hours are. If someone lands on your website, they're not going to be very clear on exactly what you have to offer.
Okay, so what are some of the common mistakes that you see farm businesses making that are keeping their listing from having a chance at showing up near the top of the search engine results page?
Probably the number one I see is not mentioning their location until the footer. If I go on a website and I'm not sure if this, farm is anywhere near me, I'm just going to leave the website, or, try to find someone else that, I know for sure is near me. Don't make your potential customers have to hunt for that information. So making sure at the top of the page, you say you're a flower farm in Philadelphia or, wherever you're located. It is definitely helpful to have it in the footer, like have your exact address in the footer. But like if you don't even list the city or the region that you're in, somewhere near the top of the page, you could be missing out on business. And also it could affect your rankings. Another one, kind of off-page SEO, but I know you do a lot of work with Google Business Profile, but not having that set up and optimized is a big thing that I see overlooked. Or, someone may have set up their page 2 years ago and they haven't touched it. It's kind of just sitting there. That's definitely a missed opportunity for not only ranking higher on Google, but also reaching those potential customers who are interested in what you have.
Those are so good. I don't know if you've heard my story about the time I booked a massage thinking it was nearby, and it ended up being in Oak Harbor, Washington, not Oak Harbor, Ohio, like 20 minutes away. And so that was awkward when I was trying to find it. And then I went and looked on their website again just to be like, did I make a mistake? And I could not find anywhere on the website where it said Ohio. So I just sort of assumed, sometimes it leads to awkward moments. Okay, well, I want you to do like a little bit of a teaching session here. I know I asked you to prepare some notes for this. What are some of the ongoing monthly tasks that we should be managing as a farm business when it comes to SEO, or if we're a small ag business? Let's just say we want to try and take a stab at doing this ourselves at a very kind of minimum basic level. Could you walk us through some of your thoughts there that we should be considering?
Yeah, so I kind of touched on a couple of these before, but making sure everything is up to date. If you have an event coming up, so we're kind of getting into the fall. If you have any fall festivals or corn mazes, things like that, making sure you have a page or section on your website where all that information is accurate and up to date. I recommend, for something that you have that's seasonal or a specific date or something like that, making sure everything is optimized and up to date at least a month in advance, if not 2 to 3 months. I know sometimes the dates will change if something in the season happens, but having that information ahead of time to give it an opportunity to start ranking on Google before people are searching for this, because it's September now. People are definitely in fall mode. So they're searching for pumpkin picking, apple picking, even if you don't have that available at this second, but people are searching for it and they know when to plan when your farm will have those available. You definitely want to get that information up there ahead of time.
Or like canning tomatoes, right? Like that's really big right now. Everyone's asking, do you have bulk canning tomatoes?
Yeah, my in-laws just spent an entire week canning all of their tomatoes, so that is definitely the season right now. And then also with Google Business Profile, something you can easily do monthly is, whenever you go to make a social media post, advertising a specific product that you have right now or something that's upcoming, go ahead and make a post on Google Business Profile. If you have a product, they have all these different buttons that you can add on now. So they have, specific link for buy now that you can link to a product. Or if, you're just talking about, an event that you have coming up, you can do the learn now button or learn more button. And you can add photos with your post. So this not only gives Google more information on exactly what you have, but also if someone sees your, Google Business Profile listing, they'll be able to see all this information about your business and what you have upcoming, what's current. You can also add new photos to your account. It depends on, whatever season you're in and whatever is the busiest season for, your business. But I definitely recommend doing it at least weekly during your busy season, and then also, monthly during maybe the slow times, just to show Google that you're still active. And it's the middle of January, you don't really have anything that you're, maybe selling, but you don't want to be able to lose that momentum that you've built when you do have, flowers in season or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not very good at this. I have to be honest. Google Business Profile comes onto my radar. Every couple of months, I'm like, oh, crud, I should be posting there too. And I think that maybe one thought I'm going to put here is, or suggest here to the audience, is to put it into your rotation, or at least maybe once a week, just prompt yourself to think about it, to think about the Google business profile, almost like another social media channel. Like, oh, I should go post something there and take 5 minutes to just stick a picture, or think about what's the offer of the week or this month. But I think the reason why it maybe isn't happening is because people don't realize how much it could be helping them. And it's just not a part of their routine. Like, they automatically go to Instagram or Facebook, but they forget, oh, there's another like ugly stepchild over here that's actually doing a lot of work if I would give it some attention, right?
And the good thing about posting there is the time doesn't matter like it does on Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
Like, if you want to go at the end of the day at 9 p.m. and post on there, it's not like you're going to get less interaction because you posted at the end of the day. Whereas on like Instagram and Facebook, there are all these specific times you should be posting and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. Can you back up just a little bit and explain to people Google Business Profile? I mean, I know I've done episodes on it, but maybe there are people who are kind of new and they're like, what is this Google Business Profile she's talking about? Like, can you explain to them how they should have one?
Yes, everyone should have one. So it used to be called Google My Business. Google right now is going through a stage where they're renaming everything. And like, now I have to go and update all the stuff on my website. But Google Business Profile is more for local businesses, or, businesses where you have a location and people will come to, pick up their CSAs, or, pick blueberries, something like that. But it's basically having a snapshot of the information on your website on Google itself. So you can have things like photos, you have your address, your phone number, your website, and then you can have like a summary about your business. You can also list services and products. So that way, if someone is searching for a specific product, they can easily find it, within your offerings. You can add posts, like I said. This is also where you can get reviews, which are super important to help, your listing rank higher. I also recommend replying to reviews. So if that is, something that you want to add onto your like monthly or weekly Google Business Profile task, is reply to reviews. That's really helpful, because when people are, reading the reviews and they see that the business owner is replying, it shows that they're active. They, appreciate their customers. They're really engaged with them. So that can definitely be beneficial, even if you just say like, thank you, or, something like that. So it's basically kind of like this whole snapshot of your website condensed into kind of one profile on Google.
Yeah. And they're free. Like, if you have a business, you can just go claim it, which totally blows me away that Google will actually just make one for you and wait for you to claim it. So you might have it sitting out there totally empty with Google's best guess of what the heck you are. So make sure, if you guys are listening and you don't know what this is, just go Google Business Profile or Google yourself, see what shows up, and claim the listing. Okay, talk to me a little bit about data points that you should be checking inside of Google Analytics.
Yeah, so this is where we're going to get pretty techy. So
all right.
don't tune out. But Google Business Profile, they have their own analytics. So I definitely recommend, checking their analytics monthly, if not, quarterly. So that way you can kind of see your overall engagements, where people are coming from, whether they're searching like on Google Maps specifically or on Google, if they're searching on their phone or on their, desktop, things like that. They also have the list of keywords that people have searched and your profile has shown up for. So that's definitely something that you want to check. First of all, make sure everything matches, because if you're showing up for some random things, then you may need to go through and, change your summary and your services and things like that. And then there's Google Analytics and Google Search Console. Google Search Console is definitely the ugly stepchild that everyone forgets about, that has so much information. First, Google Analytics is basically tracking all kinds of data for your website, like how many visitors you're getting, where people are coming from. So like whether they're coming from Facebook or Google, or, your email list, how long they're staying on your site, which pages they're going to. You can also set up like conversion tracking, so that way you can see, where people have come from, what pages they went to, convert to customers. this really works the best if you have like specific products on your website. So if you don't have any products on your website, you might not be able to track this as well. So Google Analytics has all kinds of different information. They also had a kind of rebrand recently, where they had what's called Universal Analytics for years and years. And then they switched everyone over recently to what's called GA4. So you may hear GA4 thrown around a lot if you talk to SEO people, because that was like a huge change. It's a huge transition. They're like tracking and showing data a little differently. So everyone's trying to relearn GA4. Yeah, it's kind of annoying to be honest. So that was a big transition. It's still tracking all this different, data for your website, but just kind of showing it in different ways. And then Google Search Console is specific to, how your website is showing up on Google. So this isn't going to track any information on people coming from Facebook or anything like that. It's only going to show you information on people coming from Google. So it's going to show you the exact keywords that you're ranking for, your average position for those keywords, which website pages of yours are getting the most traffic from Google. It's also going to show you kind of the more technical things on how Google is reading and what's called indexing your site. So it's going to show you if there are any broken links that Google has found. It's going to show you if there are any other indexing errors, like if there is a page that has code on it that's being blocked from, by Google being able to read what's on that page, so they're not going to be able to rank it. If there are any pages that Google is in the process of indexing, but they haven't, finished, so it's not on Google yet. So lots of different information on how Google is kind of reading what's on your site and how they're able to, navigate your site, and then also, your total traffic from Google and what keywords you're ranking for. All of these are free. And Google Search Console is the one that no one ever knows about. But
I'm raising my hand right here, you guys. Like, this is not,
it has so much valuable information. One thing about Google Analytics and Google Search Console is they don't track any back data. So if you set it up today, it's not going to have any of the data from yesterday or 2 months ago. It's only going to start tracking data from the moment you set it up. So even if you don't want to look at the data right now, it's important to go ahead and get everything set up today, so that way it's at least tracking the data for when you're ready to kind of like look at everything.
And do you do that?
Yeah, I'll help everyone set that up.
All right, let's talk.
Yeah.
So how do we use that data then to make changes to our site, or maybe to decide what content we should even be creating? Do you have any thoughts there?
Yeah, so Google Analytics, I would say it's really helpful for kind of making overall marketing decisions. So like if you're spending all of your time on Facebook and then you check and you're not getting any traffic from Facebook and all your traffic is coming from Instagram or your email list or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Email lists are huge. Then that's, that can help you make the decision. Well, Facebook isn't really serving me, so let me focus on these areas because that's what is, converting for me. Google Search Console, I definitely recommend seeing what keywords you're ranking for, making sure they at least match kind of what you have to offer. I see a lot of times that like, if you haven't incorporated any keywords on your website, Google doesn't really know what to rank you for. So they might just be only ranking you for your business name, or maybe even for some more like obscure things that don't really match what you have to offer. So that's where, if you see something like that, then you definitely want to make sure and you're, optimizing your website copy with your keywords, making sure the headings in your copy is optimized. I don't think I've said this before, but with your keywords, you want to make sure you're incorporating them within your website copy 1 to 5% of the total words. So don't just go to your website and list a keyword like 20 times in a row, because that's going to look really spammy to Google. Definitely making sure that you're incorporating them, naturally within your website copy and not just kind of like forcing them and making it, look awkward. So, and then this is also where you want to start, tracking your progress. So if you have gone today and you've, done your keyword research, you've incorporated it in your website copy, written title tags, meta descriptions. You want to start tracking to see how your site is progressing and making sure that you are ranking higher on Google. You're not going to see anything tomorrow. Google does typically take at least a few days to a few weeks to go through and look at all the new information that you've put on your website. And then from there, you may start to see your rankings, increase. You're not going to jump from page 10 to page 1 overnight or anything like that. SEO is a slow process, unfortunately. But this is where you want to check to make sure that you are, progressing and your rankings are increasing for the specific keywords that you're trying to target.
Yeah. Okay, this question wasn't on the one that I sent, the list of questions that I sent you, but I've been thinking about it as you're talking. How is the introduction of AI affecting the SEO space?
Yeah, so I actually read a really long case study about this yesterday. Yeah, AI is really interesting with the SEO world. Long story short, human written content tends to rank a lot higher than AI written content. This doesn't mean that you can't ever use AI tools, but I definitely recommend if you use an AI tool for like a blog post or something like that, making sure that you're going through and you're adding personal touches to it, make sure the information is accurate. In the case study I read, it was for wedding planners specifically, and they used a tool to write, a blog post on top 10 wedding venues in their area. And it was pulling inaccurate information about some of the venues, like some outdated information, because some of the websites that it's pulling information of, they might not be updated regularly. They might be 10 years old. So they have the information from 10 years ago. So make sure everything is accurate. It's up to date. Add your personal, brand voice to it and your personal examples and things like that. So AI is really good for like a starting point for blog posts or, help get you going, help get ideas, but definitely making sure that you're updating it and, editing it to sound like you also.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that AI can even write code for you. Is that true? Or like write schema, whatever that is, like that it can be prompted a certain way, whether or not I would know it's accurate. I have no idea.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do with AI. You can use it for like blog post titles, for social media captions. If you want help writing your title tags and meta descriptions, I've seen it, do that. But again, make sure you read through everything. You're not just letting it do its thing and then automatically putting that on your website.
Yeah, or prompting it like, these are my keywords, please incorporate them as you write this for me or whatever. Yeah. Okay, well, I know that you offer SEO services to farmers, florists, beekeepers, horticulture businesses, the works. Can you talk a little bit about what does that mean exactly? If someone were going to hire an SEO person to help them out, what exactly would you be doing? And what kinds of results should I hopefully expect to see?
Yeah, so results cannot be guaranteed with SEO, unfortunately.
Sure. Yeah.
If there's an SEO agency, unfortunately, there are a lot of like shady SEO people out there because no one really knows all the ins and outs of SEO. So they can kind of say whatever and then, take advantage of business owners. So definitely if you're going to work with someone, check to see what they're going to do and make sure they do it. But yeah, I definitely focus on the SEO foundations first. So making sure, doing the keyword research, optimizing your website copy, making sure your site is set up for, good user experience. It's easy to navigate, things like that. And then, if you're interested, going through and doing long-term strategy with, coming up with blog content or, writing blog content, managing Google Business Profile, doing monthly data reports. So if everything I said about Google Analytics and Google Search Console was like way too much. I look at all the data, compile a report and make recommendations, not only for SEO, but also, those marketing, recommendations. If there's a particular page that's performing super well, then, making sure you're pushing out for the next month and things like that. So there are a couple different, services that I offer. But every SEO agency is going to be slightly different. So depending on, what you're needing, make sure that whoever you're going to work with, is able to offer that for you. But if they do guarantee results, then, they're probably doing some shady stuff.
Mhm.
But typically you can start to see, rankings start to increase after probably about 2 to 3 months, just because Google is slow on, checking all of the changes that you made to your website.
Yeah. Is this something that should be done? I'm thinking about the timing of a project like this. If I were going to hire you, like, should I be doing this in the off season? Because my season is like dead from,
Mhm.
December to April, and I wouldn't see the results
Mhm.
until people start wanting to hunt again until, May, June. So is there a
Mhm.
best time to work on this if you're a seasonal business like that?
I would say probably in your off season is good, because that way everything is optimized and ready to go when people are starting to search for your business more.
Okay.
If there's not really an off season for you, then kind of a time that works
Right
best for
away.
you. Cause yeah,
Yeah.
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 I would say if I know a lot of people who offer like winter events or have a Christmas tree farm or something like that. So the winter
Yeah.
is a busy season for
Yeah.
them.
Totally.
So, kind of whatever timing works best for you. If you do have something big coming up in the winter, then, I'd probably recommend getting things optimized in the fall. So it's kind of like trying to figure
Hmm.
out when when you have big events or your
Yeah.
season starts, and kind of like moving backwards from then. So probably at least 2 to 3 months before, you know, you're busy again. And also so that
Yeah.
way it gives you time, because I'll need information from you.
Hmm.
And setting up a call to like, do the things like set up Google Analytics and Google Search Console and things like that.
Right. How long does it take you typically to finish a project? Like, I'm not talking about the hardcore ones that are
Mhm.
big, but like a typical client. Is it
Mhm.
like, are we talking 2 weeks? Are we talking a month? Like, what is the time frame?
Yeah, typically a month or less. If someone, has like 50 products, then that's definitely going to be 2 to 3 months.
Longer.
But like, yeah, a 10-ish page website and Google Business Profile setup, like, yeah, typically like 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah. And what kind of questions should a farmer be asking an SEO agency? Like, let's say, I mean, they might not decide to go with you, but they want to look for
Mhm.
someone local. Like, what are they asking to make sure that they're getting the right fit?
Definitely what they are doing on your website. I would also recommend asking like how they're going to be able to see what you've done, because a lot of the SEO work is kind of behind the scenes, like writing the title tags and meta descriptions. That's on the back end of the website. That's not something that you're going to see like on your homepage. So that way you can kind of make sure the work gets done. Because a
Hmm.
lot of times, agencies will charge an arm and a leg and then not actually do anything. So make sure you know what they're doing, why it matters, and also how you're going to be able to see what they've done, or at least be able to track their progress with your website. Also make sure that you as the business owner, you're always the owner of everything. So your Google Analytics, Google Search Console, Google Business Profile accounts, your website, make sure you know like where your website is hosted. Just because a lot of times I see like when someone is done with working with an agency, they don't actually know where to find anything, or the agency owns everything but they haven't added them onto the Google account, so they don't actually have access to anything anymore. So make sure you are always the owner of all of your accounts and you know where
Mm-hmm.
everything is.
So wise. Okay, so let's just say in my mind, I'm like, I would really like to work with Julia. Walk me through like a step one, step two, step three. Like, do you come in and do an assessment and then give a proposal, or like what does this look like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I do have one kind of set package. It's best for kind of like newer websites that aren't going to have a lot of like technical issues or need like a design overhaul or something like that. But most of my work is custom, for, since websites are completely different. So I'll go through, I'll look at your website, we'll have a call, and, I'll ask questions about like if you have Google Analytics set up, or, if you may have had it set up in the past, but you don't know where it is, things like that. I'll go through your website, check for some technical things, and then, create a custom proposal for your website. And then from there, I have like a questionnaire to get, information about your business, about, making sure you're targeting the right locations and things like that. And then go forward with getting everything optimized and set up for you.
I have a feeling you're about to get slammed.
That's fine. We're coming into winter, so it's definitely the dead season for a lot of industries.
So how would a person reach out to you and get started? Where do you want to send them?
Yeah, so my website is homegrownreach.com. I have a contact form on there. I have all the information about my services. I also have prices and price ranges listed there because I know a lot of times SEO, you have like no idea what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
So definitely transparent about that on my website. You can also email me at julia@homegrownreach.com if you have any questions. I'm also on Instagram, even though Instagram isn't always my favorite, but you can find me there at Homegrown Reach.
Yes. I saw you were sharing a post of mine the other day. That was nice of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, this has been so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your SEO wisdom with us. I learned some things, and I want to follow up with you and see if maybe you could take a look at my farm's website. We'll see if we might be able to work together. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Wasn't that awesome? I have a feeling Julia is going to get a few calls this week. You guys, if you need someone to just hand the reins over to and say, please fix the SEO on my website, she will do a great job. Like I said, I actually ended up hiring her after we did this interview, and I'm so relieved that that's off my plate. And I have a feeling that I'm going to learn some stuff in the process too, just by, how to read my Google Search Console better and be able to ask her questions and understand why she's doing what she's doing inside of the back end of my website. So consider investing in some SEO on your website. It could do some amazing stuff for your searchability on Google and grow your business. Might be well worth the investment. All right, today's show notes can be found at mydigitalfarmer.com/231. And if you liked today's episode, share it with a farmer friend. Would you please go into one of your Facebook groups for farmers and tell people about this podcast, or share it on your phone with one of your people in your contact list, or talk about it at your farm conferences this winter. I just want as many people as possible to know about this resource. Now, if you want to get onto my email list, remember I've got an awesome crash course in farm marketing to send your way. Every week I drip out something really helpful to you. You can get on that list by going to mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe. And don't forget, I'm also now on Instagram at mydigitalfarmer. I show up there almost every day with a marketing tip or a mindset coaching moment to help keep you on track in your business. I would love to connect with you there. So head over to at mydigitalfarmer. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Another question that I get a lot from different farmers, and I don't know how to answer it, so I'm hoping you can give me some guidance here, is like that they notice a drop off on their website traffic when they navigate their online store from like it's living on their website to, oh, now I'm working with Barn to Door or Local Line or some of these other platforms, and the store lives over here on the Local Line or on the Barn to Door. I actually don't know if this is true for Local Line, but like I have worried about it, like, because I have a Local Line shop. And I'm like, I'm taking people off my page and sending them over here to go buy stuff. Like, how is that affecting my SEO traffic? And yeah, is there a way, how is it affecting it? Or is that just me anecdotally worrying about it? And if it is, like, what are some things that I could be doing to mitigate?
So I will say I've never personally worked on a Local Line website, but I have seen how they're set up, with websites that are on Local Line. So one thing that happens whenever you switch from one website platform to another one, so if you go from WordPress to Shopify or vice versa.
Well, I have a WordPress website, right? But when they click the go to store, then it takes them to the store that lives over here. And that's where all my products are. So I don't have products on like WordPress. So WordPress never knows if I've converted, right? There's no way for it to know, did they actually buy the thing that you were taking them through the funnel on? It just goes off site. And then I've got to figure out how to track it differently. So Okay, I interrupted you.
That's okay. So whenever you switch to another platform, no matter what it is, there's definitely going to be a drop in rankings. You can typically bounce back, especially if the new website is, well optimized. But Google basically has to like re-find your website because it's in a different location and recrawl everything. So if you switch from, having a WordPress site to be completely hosted on Localine, then that's where you're going to see a drop in rankings. If you are on one website and then you just switch all your products to Localine, if you've had those products on your website before, those were pages that Google was able to crawl and was able to be ranked and people could visit. Those products no longer exist on your website anymore. So those links no longer exist. Those products can no longer, rank on Google. And then you've lost that traffic. Because also one thing with Google and rankings is the more traffic that you're able to get to your website, no matter if it comes from like Facebook or Google itself, the more it's going to help your rankings because it shows Google that your site is, valuable. So if all of a sudden you dropped 50% of your traffic, then that can definitely be an indicator to Google that your ranking should also decrease. So Localine is, I know, definitely beneficial because it's super easy to use. It's easy for people to buy the products. But if you're going to switch to Localine, that's definitely something to be aware of. And I mean, website platforms, they all have e-commerce, not maybe specific for farmers, but there's WooCommerce on WordPress. Squarespace has their own e-commerce. Shopify, of course, is e-commerce. If you're on Showit, you can integrate with Shopify or with WooCommerce. So there are definitely, different options to look at, but if SEO is not your main concern and you really want to just focus on, the products for your current customers, Localine could, or Barn to Door could be good for that. But if you are focusing on SEO, then you can't really have your products rank on Google.
Yeah. Okay. So because here's what I'm thinking through these like case scenarios in my world, right? Where when I send people to go shop, like on social media, sometimes, I'm just sending them right to the Localine store. I have a redirect actually. I don't know if that does anything. So the redirect is like sharedlegacyfarms.com/store. So, I mean, it is, but that's not helping me, is it? Because it takes them right to Localine. So it's never passing through my site anymore. Okay. So that was another question I had. Do redirects count as a hit if it's taking them somewhere that's not even on your site?
It could count as a hit. You can check in Google Analytics, but that also means that they're on that link for, a millisecond. So they're not actually Google with GA4 with Google Analytics. It's really focusing on engaged users and tracking the engaged sessions. So in order to be an engaged user, they have to stay on their website for 10 seconds or visit more than one page or convert. So if they're on your, that link for a millisecond and it gets redirected, then Google's not counting them as an engaged user.
Is it hurting me by doing that?
It can, if that's where a lot of your traffic is going.
I mean, I'm using redirects a lot, and I just wonder sometimes, like, if it's bouncing for like you said, a millisecond, and if that's registering to Google, like, oh, they went off somewhere else, right? They're not staying.
One thing that might help is if you have like, a button or somewhere in your menu that goes to that store, so that way, you don't have to send people the super long link. But have it open in a new tab. So that way people can still easily be able to see your website and, give you that engaged traffic. Whereas if they're immediately going to the Localine side and completely leaving your website, your website no longer gets that traffic. And they may have, had something on your website that they wanted to read more about your business or something like that. And then they have to click the back arrow like 10 times before they can go back. So having it open in a new tab can, kind of help keep that website traffic, especially if they want to stay on your website to get more information before buying the products.
I'm trying to figure out like, what is the downside to having this situation where, like, what am I actually losing by having a farm store that lives somewhere else as opposed to having it? Because I'm not going back. I'm not going back to WooCommerce. That was a hot mess. And I'm just trying to understand, like, well, what am I actually losing out on by having SEO lost in the ether here. So, I mean, I'm still getting good SEO though, for anybody who's just coming to learn about my farm. They want to see what my CSA is about. There's a page where they read about that. Or there's a page about my sampler where they read about that. There's a page about how the online store works if they want to be an online store customer. So those are still getting hit, right? But once they decide, yeah, I want to shop your store, or I want to buy the CSA, and they click on that button, now they're being taken off. But am I still getting the benefit of, for a first-time user who's learning about me, there's really they all pretty much go through that portal of my website to even understand what I'm about. And then once they become like a customer, then they're probably not coming back to my site anymore. They're just going right to the store. So, I mean, is there I'm just trying to understand, is that okay? Like is that hurting me?
So I will say a lot of times with marketing, you kind of have to pick and choose. So if local line is like super easy for you to use, you never want to go back to WooCommerce, like I would stick with that. Like your website, it's not going to, like your homepage ranking, it's not going to be affected by having your products on local line. A couple of things I would check is if you don't have Google Search Console set up, I would definitely get that set up so you can check to see if there are any broken links. So if you used to have a, CSA product or something like that, and you took that page down when you switched to local line, because having a bunch of broken links can affect your rankings. So getting those redirected, that could help. And then I would also consider, like, I'm not quite sure how many, products you have, but if you have like specific products like carrots, apples, whatever, that might be, most beneficial to have hosted on local line. But it could be beneficial to have at least a page on your website about your CSA, because that is definitely something that people are searching for on Google. So if you only have your CSA on local line, you could be missing out on people searching for that on Google. So even if you have like a page about your CSA, you have, details about the pickup and how often and days and things like that on your website, and then, link to that product in local line and have it open in a new tab. That could be a good way to still get that CSA traffic while keeping the products on local line.
Okay, that was super helpful. Or thinking about like, what are my big ticket products that people are going to be hunting for? Like, I don't need to have a page for the smaller things like broccoli, but like I have people who buy bulk sweet corn. Like we make a lot of money on bulk sweet corn, or bulk canning tomatoes. Like there's definitely a season. So maybe I have a page that's just about the bulk canning tomato and a page about the bulk sweet corn. And then the call to action is click on the button to buy it. It takes it to the online store on local line to do it. But people have come through that portal, or it's showing up as a thing to find on Google, right? So that they even know. Oh, that was so worth it. I'm going to totally find a way to get that in the episode. That was really good. Super helpful. Thank you. Thank you.